Hey, what ifers, welcome. It's week 1. We are relaunching the What If Inner Circle Mastermind under the new name of the What If Inner Circle Mastermind. We have a whole story behind that. We're going to get you up to speed. This originally started as a small group that coincided with the bomb course that we offer. I got my friend Sean here. We're going to talk about all of that, but I just want to welcome you. We're going to lay the groundwork here. The history, how we got here, why are we here, what are we doing? But Sean, first and foremost, welcome to the screen. Welcome to the Inner Circle. How excited are you to be here?
Well, thank you. It seems great in here. The temperature's just right. The sun is shining. I love it. Now, this is an exciting relaunch. But Brandon, please tell me how we got here.
Actually, fun story. We didn't talk about this previously. Do you know it's been almost a year in the making at this point? We are 1 week shy of our 1 week anniversary, if you will.
Is that true? And I didn't get you anything.
Yes, I didn't get you anything either, but I think that's worth noting because this has been something we've talked about for a very long time at this point. Yes. And when we met, it wasn't nothing of this sort was in existence.
No.
So yeah, I think the path to getting here was exciting, it was challenging, it was unique, but for me it was a lot of just like sifting through what's out there, going from this group to that group, and then finally just coming to you and saying like, what if?
So Brandon and I met in another mastermind after having been in many masterminds, each of us, and we had some very fun, silly conversations about some business we could start. As we went down the path, we realized, oh my God, we could probably make those viable businesses, and it was fun and unique, and the interaction was something magical. But then Brandon said, well, we really should do something together. I have this vision for a thing. And he described it to me. And I said, in the way that I guess I say things, I was like, we could, or you could just look at my thing and then we'll just do that because it's probably pretty good. I'm told it's pretty good. And he was like, okay, let me see it. And then your reaction, Brandon, was what?
Oh my God, this is amazing.
so let's do this together. I said, yes, let's do this together. So, and then I described to him the architecture that's behind how I get massive changes in businesses and the ways that we get that out there. And Brandon told me that, okay, but to get this out there more, we need to bring this everywhere for people. Right. And so, Brandon, I don't know if you want to talk about that, and then we can talk about the architecture and what we're building, but go ahead.
Yeah, no. So I want to back up real quick because the origin of how we met is to me what's super important, because it was, like I said, it was completely out of the blue and it was unexpected. So we were at this mastermind that I mentioned a year ago, and the challenge that we had at the moment was to introduce somebody else in the room. Pick a random person. Me and you had not met at that point. And when I went up to you and I asked you for the 3 talking points of how I would introduce you, I don't remember them word for word to this day, so please forgive me. But I know you said something along the lines of, I was the fractional COO consultant for companies like Ford, Uber, MetLife, Johnson & Johnson. And you kept going with these Fortune 100, Fortune 50, Fortune 10 companies. And I'm like, who is this guy? And why am I in this room? So long story short, you said a number of amazing things in this introduction. And I was like, I'll do this little skit. And after that, we need to talk. Like, I need to figure out exactly what's going on, who this man is and what he knows. So then once we got to talking, that's where, for me, the magic started to happen, because I was like, I own a business and none of this is foreign, but I've never looked at it inside of a system, inside of a package that can be easily transferable to any other business, really. And that's where the magic started to happen. So yes, I did come to you and say, here's what I want to do next in the world after the sale of my business. But at that point, that wasn't in the cards. So I had this idea of something, but I still had my main business. That was my income. That's what I was doing. So you, for some odd reason, gave me access to your course because you're like, well, check it out, see if this makes sense, and we can go from here. And little did you know, the information in that course transpired into me selling my business within 6 months because I implemented all of it as a good student, and I was able to get, let's just say, a lot of money, and a lot more money than I probably should have and would have had I not implemented the architecture and everything we talk about inside the walls of Whadif. So if that's not a testimonial that is 100% real, I don't know what is, but I dead serious. That is exactly what happened. And that's why I'm so passionate about being here with you and bringing this architecture out to the world. Because if it can work for me, I am not the smartest guy in the room. I know we can transform some lives with what we're doing here.
Well, way to spring that giant revelation on me live so I can react in the way that I react. So thank you for that. But so, yes. So where do you want me to go, Brandon? In this space, Brandon told me ahead of time, well, let's lay it all out there. I love it when you riff and jam. But, I have permit? I want you off the leash, but can I rein you in? So I'm going to run wherever you let me run. The yard's open. I'm off the leash. I'm going to run. And then if I get too close to the fence, he'll give me a zap and I'll come back in. So I give him total permission on that because he needs me to rip and jam. And so speaking of music, so what do you want me to talk about, Brandon?
Yes. So this week, obviously, we're laying the foundation of what the new inner circle will look like. We have, if you're already a member, depending on what tier you're on, there's different access points. This weekly call, we call the workshop, and we will workshop and disrupt your business live. It's going to be either me and Sean. It's going to be us and a guest or several guests that we call luminaries within our ecosystem. So this is the overview of what it looks like. And the first half of this call, which you may be seeing live right now, we're putting out to the world. The second half is the workshop. That's where we're going to dive in deep to people's businesses. We're going to take a look, disrupt, fix, build, and grow. But for right now, I want to see
Brandon, I'm sorry, but because we took back to how we met. We've been in a lot of masterminds. And so what did we do? We looked at this the same way we look at any problem. We pulled it all in and we said, it's here what we want. We know what we liked. So now we just remove the things that we don't. So we said, if we're going to build a room, this is what it's got to be like. And Brandon's now describing to you what that is. So there's a method for the madness here. And if you've been in as many rooms as we have, you might enjoy what we're putting together.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I was going with that question too. So I just want to hear from you why this is different, where this comes from. And for you in particular, you have, I told you when I first met you, I was astounded by the stats, if you will, of your career. Why this, why here, and why now among all the other things that you're doing? And then we will absolutely dive into the architecture. But I think this is important to convey why you're doing this, and also why people need to be in this room if they want to grow their business.
So that's a big question, the why I'm doing it, right? But so why I'm doing this in particular is because, so for 25 years, I've been working with businesses to make giant changes for them. And most of that was at that Fortune 50 level. And I was feeling like, and so in that place, we can talk about the derivation of the architecture in a minute, right? But so I realized that the effect I was having on the world was one company at a time. And maybe it was completely transformative for the whole company, or maybe it was the size, if it's a Fortune 50, that the machine would eventually chew up whatever I did. It would be temporary fixes. But, the changing of lives becomes more and more important. Leaving a legacy becomes more and more important as we get older and older. Not to date myself, because I know I look, don't say it. Don't say how old I look. I look younger than you think. Let's leave it at that. Let's just leave it at that. All right. So you start to think about, what am I going to leave and how much change can I make that is going to last? And at that level, it's not really in your control whether or not it's going to last, unless you can change the entire culture. And we have a whole analogy that we do in our training around ponds and fish and the size and temperature. We're not going to go into that now, but if you get smaller businesses to change and see what we see and understand what we understand and distill things down to the essence and get back to the natural rhythm and flow of the natural order of business, then those companies can scale beyond where those other companies are, because those other companies, while massive, are a false framework. They're a machine that's taken on a life of its own, and it does the thing. But you can scale beyond that in an easier, more natural way that feels good and empowering to everybody, your customers, your employees, all of it, right? So I've got to get to that level. And so I started to then fractionalize my time, work with smaller companies, but I can only expand so much. This is the natural state that every entrepreneur listening to me understands. I have a great thing. I am starting to give people that great thing. I see changes in the world. I want to continue to do that. How do I do that? Hire more people, multiply myself, and then start to meet people downstream where they are, so you can give them an entire customer evolution. And so I naturally needed to start to segment what we teach here. But the problem with that is that it is holistic. So it is very encompassing. So people would say, I don't want to know your entire architecture. I just want to know about marketing. And there's so many problems in there to unpack. That's 3 more of these calls. So it's hard. But so the next evolution when we met was, okay, but how do you get this even further? Because I met a lot of people in that mastermind that you and I were in who would say to me, this is incredible what you're telling me. And so how do I hire you? Well, it's this. Okay. Do you have a course? Yes, it's this. Do you have a pamphlet? Like, do you have a 4-page? Do you have just write it on a napkin? All right. So then we said, well, how about a mastermind? Well, masterminds come with all kinds of problems and things. And we said, well, what if we did the stuff that we liked and knew would remove some of those problems, would be very action-oriented, fun, replicatable, delivers instant results, disruptive, entertaining, and gets massive results, but in a way that is communitized, so people don't feel so alone in the world. They feel justified in seeing the world now the way they should see it, and supported collectively when the world throws problems at them that were unaccounted for, and they see that all things are solved by the architecture in the community. That's what we wanted to build.
Yeah, and that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's where this really came from. The first couple times you've gone through the architecture was within the course that is called the BOMB. If this is the first time you're hearing from us, we love to have fun. That's what you see the logo behind me. That's what the play button is in the top. It's an upside down question mark with a play button, because we give you permission to play and have fun. But the BOMB is the course, is the 10-week course, 10 module course that we go through over 10 weeks. And what came out of that was the people who went through it, they saw massive results. I mean, obviously I was just the testimonial of that as well. But there wasn't enough, right? And you even said it, like, to work with you as a fractional COO over the course of a year is going to cost a boatload of money. And that's going to be very, very effective. That's scary,
but call us. We're very affordable.
We're very affordable. So if you can afford that and you need a fractional COO, yes, we can absolutely provide that service. You scale that down. I know, amazing testimonial again, right? You scale that down. You're like, of course, Okay, a little bit more of a bite-sized chunk. We can absolutely do that, but it's only 10 weeks. Well, where do you go after the 10 weeks? You need the bumpers on the bowling lane, right? You need someone who can shove you back towards where you're going and help you correct those mistakes. And that's where the mastermind came out of, that we call the inner circle. It's not really a mastermind. That's why we call it more of a workshop, because you need the constant eyes on your business and the coach looking over your shoulder and the mentor there to say, nope, we're still going that way. Like, don't look over there. When the people come in and say, I just want to look at the marketing, we'll get there. We're going to get there eventually, but we're going this way. So I'm going to put this on the screen here. If you do want to learn more about the different levels we have, go to whadif.com/inner circle. You can learn about joining our mastermind, join the calls like the workshop like this, on a weekly basis, and then some.
And
what's the revelation?
We go back and forth on calling the inner circle the workshop because we're getting things done, and the sandbox because we're playing in there with the tools and the things we have. And it is equal parts of that, because I've been in workshops that are hot, dusty, instruction driven, with a clock ticking. I don't know what sweatshop did you work in? What do you say? I'm not I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you can imagine a workshop like that where you're working on your business and it's to-dos and it's things you don't like doing. And then you can imagine a workshop that's lit well. Everything looks just so, I mean, if you don't believe me, YouTube, custom design, woodworking shops, the things that people do, amazing. But the music's going, the lighting's great. You got a buddy and you're jamming and you're building a thing. Totally different. And you can make mistakes because there's a master craftsman sitting next to you who's built a bench like the one you're trying to smack together for your wife for an anniversary present. I don't know, Brandon, maybe your wife gave me ideas. So build a bench. My whole point is, you know that you've been in masterminds that are a sandbox because they're fun and communal and you hear interesting stuff and you do nothing after, and there is very little help except from them telling you the message again. And then there are workshops where we're going to do this thing and we're doing it together and you're paying me a lot of money. I'm going to come in, I'm going to yell at you to do it, or I'm going to come in to do it for you when it feels like that outside force, like, oh my God, Dad's coming, we need to turn the music off, right? It's neither of those things. It's the beautiful merger of the two, because we don't just sit around in here. We get demonstrable results, and we're going to, and Brand is going to show you how we prove that to ourselves, so we feel good about the own progress we're making, right, inside the inner circle. And so that will show you, hey, look, you've come so far. We're getting things done. And it is a community, and it is fun, and it is all the things. So it's the beautiful merger of the two.
Yeah. Is that an invitation to show off our cool, fancy new platform?
Invitation given, accepted. RSVP. Let's go.
Yeah. So let's bring this up on the screen here. So yes, you are looking inside of the inner circle dashboard. We have all the different levels. All of our community members are inside of this platform. We took it from, like I said, a 10-week course and just a standalone course, which you would have a coach with, but where's the community, right? And then we said, okay, do we put a group together on Facebook or LinkedIn or any of these other, maybe WhatsApp group? And Sean, tell me how you feel about Facebook and LinkedIn and WhatsApp groups.
So here's the thing. I've been in, I'm riffing, right? I've been in masterminds where they also will have one of those other groups, and it's hacking away, I guess, a little bit at the community feel. But some of them, they charge a lot of money for you have to go to 3 places. It's like our course, we got a backlog of courses here, or we got some courses available here, and we have go to Facebook if you want to chat with us, and then go here, go to Slack for this kind of messaging, and then it's all disjointed. And I guess I'm building it for the me's of the world, but I want one place. I want a place. Give me a home for this. If this is going to be the holistic architecture that you're telling me it is, if I'm going to now have a completely different, a whole toolkit to attack both business, self, and life, then should I have a place to go for that? Like one place? Give me a dojo, give me a place where I can connect with all the value that you're giving. And so, I mean, that was my task to you, Brandon. But I said, if we're doing this, then let's do this. And we have to have something like that as fast as we can. And so, and
I agreed.
You delivered.
We talked about this for way too long, but it's confusing. And that's the problem is you join these groups and there's a WhatsApp group and a Telegram and a Facebook group. And then there's another Facebook group, depending on what level you're in. And then there's a Facebook group for the specific event you're attending. And it's like, where do I go just to find out like when the call will be this week and where the link is?
An evite to this thing and check your email and then we'll text you.
You lost me.
I got 3 kids in sports and school, and I'm running a business. And now you've given me an entire department to run, labeled your help of me. That doesn't seem like help. It seems like you gave me a lot of work to do to catch up with all the shit you're putting down. It's antithetical to you as a coach or business helper to make your clients jump through hoops to get your help. Thank you. I'll take it as I can get it, right? But you are not the owner of the answer to everything if you are not the answer to this. So let's modify our message. You're not the answer to everything because you're effing this up for me right now. So anyway, you got my Irish up, Brandon. So
that's why I asked you the question in the first place, because this is what happens. And I know me personally, I don't know about you. If I go onto Facebook to look at an event or a mastermind group, I'm probably going to be there for 3 hours and I'm end up looking at like why aliens might exist. And I don't have time for that in the middle of my day. I need to go to a place where if I'm going to a place to communicate with somebody, a fellow entrepreneur, a business owner, or I'm looking for an answer, or if I'm going for a consulting question, I need to go for that and only that, and also have the community there to bounce things back and forth. So on the screen here, you can see we're going to go through this super quick, but we are very, very proud of the way this platform has come to be and what it is coming to be and growing and developing into as we add more of our members to it. So again, everybody who ever interacts with us, whether you take our free BAD assessment that we've talked about before, Sean, you may want to mention that in a little bit again, but whether you take that, whether you are one of our coaching, our fractional clients, your private one-on-one client, whatever it is, you have access to some level of this platform and it's scalable with you. Whether you want to stop working with us or continue working with us at a deeper level, all of it is scalable and your access to your information stays forever at no charge. So you obviously get more with the more ingrained you are. And we're going to go through that in a second. So this is the inner circle. This is what we're talking about. This is the dashboard. So you can see all your upcoming events. That's what we just talked about. You no longer have to search through your emails, text messages, Facebook, LinkedIn, groups to see when is the call, and then text your 5 friends. Do you know when the call is, where the link is? And then you log into the link and, oh, it expired 3 months ago. Now what do we do? Well, I'll see them next week. I'm not going to try. None of that. It's all right here. Any live virtual events are all on this calendar, on your calendar. And if you click join the call, it would take you right there. There's no more thinking. As you scroll down, when I'm logged in as my client profile. So if I was working with a consultant, which in this case would be me or Sean, we would have tasks here. I have not assigned myself any tasks because that seems redundant and I don't want any more tasks for myself. But your consultant and your coach is able to assign you tasks here so you can stay on track for the week before your next call.
So what Brand is describing here is, so it's not disjointed for people who are just hearing about the inner circle. So if we wanted to build it for all the things we're doing. So we also have fractional chief operating officer clients where we come in and operate as their fractional COO. We want them in here too. I want one place for everybody all together so that you'll be seeing them there. You'll be seeing people from different places in business on top of the luminaries that we have and everything else, because we're jamming a lot in here. So this is beyond just, we have what you think might be a mastermind and you come into some calls and we talk about some things. This is truly you come in and with peers and with a level of luminaries that amounts to a C-suite of experts, plus me and Brandon, actually coaching you on the tasks that are assigned to you as we move forward. We are learning, applying together, understanding market dynamics and external forces together. And so it isn't just a community, it is a group, it's a barn raise for your business with expert craftsmen, not just your cousin who, he's kind of beefy, so you call him over to help you move a refrigerator. We got expert, skilled craftsmen helping you raise this thing to heights that you couldn't have imagined, starting with the foundation that first requires us to remove the fundamental problems with everything you've ever learned about business.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. We're going to come right back to the expert craftsman, because that is so crucial inside of this platform.
Stepping
but
on
I also
lines.
want to touch on what you said here, the forum, the community.
Yeah.
You're gonna be rubbing shoulders and bumping elbows with people at all of our different levels, including our luminaries, who are literally, like you said, fractional C-suite of the Fortune 50. And some of the most unique people in the world that can help you grow, scale your business efficiently, and then all of your other programs down here. So it's one click. This is your landing page. You bookmark one page on your dashboard or on your in your browser. You come to this and you have everything at your fingertips. But the experts that you touched on, I'm gonna remove this from the screen here. That's the part of this platform that I'm most excited about. I know you've been part of groups. I've been part of masterminds where there might be a coaching or consulting element to it. And I'm sure we are not unique in this scenario. You get on your weekly, bi-weekly, monthly call, and the first 10, 15 minutes is catching up what you talked about last time. That is 33% of your time wasted. The beautiful part about this platform, it is integrated top to bottom to serve the client. So on our admin backend, we can see the tasks, to-dos, habits, and worksheets that our clients have filled out. So 5 minutes before the call, even, we can review that. And as soon as we get on the phone, maybe we exchange pleasantries, but we're not like that. We're down to business here. So we say, hey, what's going on? Why didn't you complete your task list?
Is that how you do
yelling
it?
at them right away.
Is that how you do it?
That's how I do it. No, but seriously, we don't have to waste the time saying, hey, what are you up to again in the world? And what's your name? It's here in front of us. We can actually help you grow your business right away. There's no wasting time. So enough about the platform. That's what I'm excited about. I just love that we can serve our clients at the highest level through this platform and through this tool. And they can also see the results. We can track the metrics. So it's visible. It's not, is my business growing? It's no, here's exactly what's happened over the past 8 weeks.
The metrics are set ahead of time based on the architecture. So we're using the right measures to move your business forward in every aspect. And we're tracking that progress month over month. So you are not going to come into this mastermind and 6 months from now say, I made a lot of friends and my business went up and down, but business is cyclical. That's true. What did you learn? Bunch of great stuff. What did it do for you? I don't know. Not here. You know exactly what you did, why you did it, what the results were, and how to scale from there. And it's apparent. It's like going to the doctor. Did you eat all the right things? Well, every now and then I have a entire box of Chipwiches. What? And well, we're going to find out. We do blood work. We do the whole thing. It's not just a scale, because you get that a lot. Well, what'd the scale say? The scale said this. First of all, I'm not even sure that you had me doing the right things that was going to move that number. Second of all, that's a terrible number to be using. There were 7 other things you should have tracked before that. And you're missing the mark. It is analogous to the entire reason that masterminds fail the people that are in them sometimes, right? Is the whole thing set up on the wrong scale, with the wrong measures, with the wrong to-dos. So we know exactly what we're doing month over month. You're going to see the changes, and you're going to know why they happened and how to do it again, which is great. And if we don't do that, then you shouldn't be here. We'll be the first one to tell. Brandon will get you on the phone and go, it's been 6 months. Love you. Love seeing you. Where are we? Because if you are doing the things that we calculated here that you're doing, there's no way these are the numbers. So either you're sneaking a bag of chips when the lights are out, or wait, this is a weight loss coaching program. This is the same thing. So either you're doing that and not telling me, or you're not, and somehow yours is the only business in the world that is a snowflake so unique that the very basis, our architecture that is a very distillation of the basis of all business, of all commerce between two human beings, somehow doesn't work for you. Alrighty. You're free to go. It's not going to happen.
Well, I'm already motivated to go on a diet. But aside from that, it's interesting you say that, because we do focus on the person and the business. You can't have one without the other. That is very, very important. Are we going to give you diet advice? No, probably not. One of our luminaries will. But aside from that, you've teased it enough. What is this architecture? I need a little bit. We're about to dive into the workshop. We have a few more minutes. So if you are catching this live, I'm going to put this back on the screen if you want it. And you also get a free month when you upgrade now. So there's really no risk. You get 4 free calls and a free month of working with us. So go check out whadif.com/inner-circle. But Sean, please tell me about this architecture. It's morphed a little bit since I've known you, but it is absolutely beautiful. And dare I say it's harmonious at this point.
You dare. How dare you? So over 25 years. So I've worked with a lot of companies at Fortune 500 and all the way down to very small companies. And I realized something over, well, let's back up. We've got time, right?
We got plenty of time. That's the one thing we're going to say. We say these calls are an hour, but at the end of the day, we're here to grow your business. And if we just keep going, we're going to keep going. And you're going to get a lot of value from it.
Maybe this helps. So maybe it's just the way I think about things, but I've always found that. So we know the map is not the territory. And if we know this, then we should be aware of when we're looking at the map instead of the territory. And in business, a lot of times we're looking at the map because, right. And so I like to sort of say, I get it. I'll take it under advisement. It looks like this. It works like this. Sure. But let me ask questions. What if is the very name of the company is what the name is for a reason? We're constantly asking what if, right? So what if it isn't what I think it is? And so I would always start at really fundamental questions. So I remember when I first went to MetLife, and maybe it was a function of having gone to law school and asking questions, and I don't know. But I remember one of the first meetings I had there, and I walked in and I was supposed to be solving something for their disability operations. And I had a room full of experts there, and the woman started talking something, 12 levels deep. And I said, wait. I want to ask you a few questions. I said, oh yeah, that's right. You said you're new. Okay. What do you need to know? Which of these, like one level up, which of these things don't you understand? I said, no. So when you say disability, you mean insurance, right? And so they all laughed and they're like, well, of course. And I go, no, I really want you to answer the question. Do you mean insurance? And we started going down some very simple questions, but it was for a reason. So they're kind of looking at me like, what are you, an idiot? But of course, we know as entrepreneurs already what the moral of the story is that I was asking not so much because I didn't know, because I literally wanted her to tell it to me like I was 5 because I was trying to get her to distill down what it is that this is supposed to be, right? Let's take all the language out that you as an expert would have. Let's take all the what's we have to do, because there's certainly people that think that way. And there are whys, maybe we understand them, maybe we don't. But let's get down to the fundamental, what is this thing? And start building together from there and see where we deviate in an understanding. Because sometimes it's very interesting. I'll tell you the number of times I've been in a room with very high level executives and I say, what do you think that means? And they say, well, everyone knows it means this. And oh, isn't it great when out of the corner of your eye, you see somebody sort of sit up in their chair and you're like, oh, gopher popping out of the hole. What are you? I don't think that's what that means. And that's why we've been having a standstill in this conversation for 3 months. We just got to the thing. Okay? We have a whole methodology for doing that thing that I just talked about on a consistent basis. But so back to the architecture. So I started to distill things down and make changes at a very rudimentary level. And a mentor of mine, God bless him, brilliant strategist, just a mind kind of just here, so he sees everything differently. He said to me, all right, we're shipping you to a different department to help them. I was like, well, how do I know how to do that? Like, I don't know anything about dental insurance. He said, what did you know about disability insurance? Nothing. He's like, okay. He's like, they have a department wall to wall of experts in that. They don't have someone like you who knows how to ask the questions underlying the whole thing. So just go do the thing, that thing. Okay. Went there, went somewhere else, kept learning. That doesn't matter what it is. And I started to see patterns and distilling things down to the very level. It's like, okay, let's start with the premise of human beings in exchange of value. That's what this is. All commerce. So as long as we're talking about human beings doing stuff for this end purpose, doing something or giving something to someone else in exchange for them doing something or giving something to you. And there are dynamics about that. And those dynamics get a little more complex as you scale, but not so much that it has to become the machine that it's become. We'll get into that in a second. So I recognize these patterns, and develop tools and frameworks along the way to meet people where they are, come into a brand new room where I have 1 hour to get them from A to B and need to disrupt what they think the machine has told them, and every business book they've ever read and every business guru they've ever listened to is going to tell them about how this works and how we're going to fix it. Disrupt, give them a new framework, some new tools, and move them to a new place. And then see what the results are and understand what are the dynamics and what are the principles at work here in business. And so did that all there, then left there and started to work with different companies. Maybe this is just unique to this one company and this one way of thinking and this one product. Guess what? I found out that what works for insurance works for shoes, cars, luxury handbags, airplanes, travel, I should say, because now we're talking travel, consultancies, mastermind, you name, right? So
both NDAs are buzzing right now.
Well, yes. I'm not saying anything we're not saying any names, and it is right. Okay. Yes, thank you. But so I have to be very careful. Works with both products and service. And so that's cool. And then the next question that was put to me was, well, what about down market? You see, and that was when this became that was a huge transformation for me, because I now knew that I had stumbled upon the fact that all of business, you know that scene, I'm a child of the 80s, you know that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where they realize that the medallion on top of the staff the bad guys built it wrong because they only thought there was one side to it. There was a whole other, and they're like, the staff's too long. They're digging in the wrong place. That's what I discovered. The whole thing, from the way it's built to all the underlying fundamental disciplines, are all just kind of off. And we know it because the big companies that follow the tried and true formats and paths and disciplines are giant, so they look successful, but more people still die on Monday morning than any other time of the year because they're having heart attacks and strokes. The idea of going to work in a machine and system set up that in a way that is disharmonious with the actual structure and order of the universe. Okay, those are big concepts. All right, but let's bring it down. So I understood that I'm doing these. I'm making changes at big corporations, massive changes, but it's unfulfilling and probably won't last. What do I mean? For just one of those big companies, I did a project that was going to save them $30 million for the next 3 years. Wow. They didn't care. We're talking at companies at the scope of, yeah, you saved them $30 million, but 4 other departments lost $30 million. Who cares? It's all, nobody cares, right? There's shareholders that care about the stock price. And so it feels very, and then you understand that you've just put a system into a department. And what's going to happen? We put a small fish in a big pond, and the pond is going to change the temperature of the fish rather than the other way around. Eventually, that leader, now having massive success, is going to be moved to another department. He's going to find that it's dissonant. He's going to have to make big changes. Maybe he can make some of them. Maybe he understands the whole architecture. Maybe he doesn't. He's going to bring in a few people. Well, she's awesome. She's awesome. He's awesome. Bring them in, surround himself with his own team. And now that department starts to falter even more. But his next department is taking off, not as much success because it wasn't the same. And then they move him to the next place. And eventually he's promoted to his level of incompetence and he's fired. And that change is gobbled up and lost. But if you get people, entrepreneurs, to understand the architecture and implement it now, then that person is going to going to surpass those big companies in a way that feels better, is easier, feels more harmonious. And so that is where I need to be. You work with those people and they say, God bless you. Now my mission is being served. My products are out there. I'm serving people, communities, my mission, my dreams, my kids can go to college. Well, let's play there every day. Well, how do you do that? Well, you got to fractionalize that. Nobody can handle that at that level. And it's not even really where they are because I'm fighting against a lot of institutional dynamics for those successes. We don't have them here. But so we got to fraction ourselves up, right? We have to do that. And then how do we further proliferate this more so that everybody's operating with a more harmonious business model? And we do that by having these workshops. Am I off of what the original question was? Was that the question? See, Rainey and Brandon.
The question was, what is the harmonious business model? We're going to dive into
the harmonious business model. And so there are 10 fundamental disciplines in every business. Are there more than 10 or are there less than 10? Nobody has time for that kind of argument. You can add in more disciplines and make this thing too complicated and unwieldy. You can combine them you can squash them into too few and have them be disjointed and not feel right. 10 is the number because 10 is the number. And also because, for example, we combine sales and marketing as one discipline.
How dare you?
I know. Some people have told me they should be different. And that kind of thinking is exactly the kind of thinking that creates silos and strife and disharmony in major businesses. They are the same. They are so closely related because we have in our architecture the power is in the points of connection between each of the 10 disciplines. And so let's talk about that for a second. So there are 10 fundamental disciplines in every business, regardless of how you cut it, right? These are the elements. Those elements are the essence of all human commerce broken into the 10 elements to give you an architecture so you have context in a world of content. People are drowning in content. They don't need more content. They need context. And there's a lot of, so this is a structure that I know everything fits into. And if anything is added into it that doesn't fit, it shouldn't be there. And it is self-referential because every element in the architecture contains the other fundamental elements of each other to varying degrees, but needs nothing external to the entire architecture in order to be complete. That's how we know it is only what you need. It is the perfect lens from which to access all other trainings, thoughts, realities, frameworks, bump them up against the model and see what fits and what does not. What is disharmonious gets cut, and what is harmonious stays in. And the very model itself, while it contains things like strategic planning, project management, people leadership. Leadership is different than management. Time management, which is a misnomer because you manage time the same way a person in a raft manages the river. You don't manage the river. You manage yourself on it. It is a flow. Does not stop. You manage, so you don't manage time. But so these disciplines, risk, legal, right? There are 10 that no one would argue with, but each is fundamentally flawed. And if you want me to riff on that, we can. How this happened, and maybe that should probably be a totally different call, how we got here. But each of those disciplines is fundamentally flawed. And so, anyway, each of those is fundamentally flawed. We tell you why. We tell you how to sync them up in a way that leverages all those points together. And then your business becomes harmonious. And harmonious, we keep saying that, is because when you distill the elements of strategic planning or leadership or project management to the essence of what they are, strategic planning is how you navigate. Leadership is how you inspire. Project management is how you operate. When you take them down to the very essence of what they are, those 10 disciplines spell harmonious. And so it's an acronym. It's both an acronym and a description of the state in which your business will exist at the same time. And so we make businesses harmonious so you can make beautiful music for your customers.
Amen to that. And I want to highlight the most important point that I think you skipped over just a little too quickly, but this was the aha for me. And it was, in your words, it is the link between the elements. Everybody knows, like, if you listed all 10 elements right now, every single person watching this, listening to this, and probably on the planet would have heard of those 10 words. They are not new, unique words. They're not new, unique words in business. The point of this architecture, of the harmonious architecture, is how do they play with each other? And if I could, I want to give you a real life example of one of our clients that happened in the past 2 weeks and how this came to be. So I'm not going to reveal names and or exact situations, but I will say this. So they came to me on one of our calls and they said there was basically a disaster going on, and there was what was the word? Mutiny was the word you used when I described the situation. The employees were trying to overthrow the ship. So in a normal scenario, if you took the face value of the situation, any consultant in their right mind would say you have a people or a leadership problem. When we looked at the bad results for this client, and I'm going to put this on the screen. If you don't know what the bad is, go check it out here. Go take it. It's our free assessment that will give you a complete diagnostic of the current state of your business. When we looked at her results, immediately it was a strategic planning issue. It was navigate in our model. And I said to this person, what's your mission vision, and core values, which are part of this element. And ironically, this is the first module of our course too, of the BOM course. And I don't know. I don't have those. What are you talking about? And I was like, okay, pause everything. We need to back up for a second. If you don't have a direction, a mission, vision, core values, no wonder your employees are acting like this. You don't have a leadership problem. You don't have a people problem. You have a direction problem. You have a navigation problem. They're thinking, the people were thinking and acting in a way consistent with their own core values, thinking I'm being helpful. I'm taking action. I'm improving situations. I'm coming up with answers on my own, and I'm not bothering the boss, right? Absolutely wrong. They were basically destroying the company without knowing it, just because they didn't have the clear direction to move forward. But without the links and without understanding the links of how all 10 aspects tie together, that problem probably would not have been diagnosed by most consultants. Not to toot our own horn here, but we had the architecture to rest on and to look at definitively with numbers and say, no, this is your problem. Here's why. And now we have a path to fix it.
Yeah. And so it's, I shouldn't talk to both audiences because it's a little different, right? The reasons why big business looks like it does is there's a whole evolution there that we can spend some time on at some point. But so for entrepreneurs, they're following what is now these disciplines. So what happens is an entrepreneur comes in, they've got a great idea, and they fall ass backwards into a business, or they've always wanted a business, and they search for their side hustle. They just have that spirit, and they find a thing. Okay, now they have. So what happens? Just the same way all commerce ever, from the first woman in a market square saying, fresh pomegranates, right? Like at the start, right? That is the marketplace, and she was the first marketer, right? Like, so people have a skill that they're good at, and that's the one they lean into, or they like it, they feel right. So they're going to be the up with people and everything, and they are really good at the HR part, and they're not good at the process part or the strategy part or all the other disciplines. And so then they start to learn about those things. They get some help from their family or friends. They're building this business. They got their cousin Tony filling orders, right? And they start to go to some gurus here and there, all of whom say their thing is the only thing. Are we saying that? No, we say our thing is the most holistic thing, and other things fit into it. Let's talk about who and what they are. But people will say, this is the only thing, come here. And they learn these different disciplines, and then they cobble together a Frankenstein monster that looks alive, but is still a creature that's been built in the wrong way, right? The pieces at a time. And so without real understanding on the power of these things, because these disciplines became separated. That is one of the fundamental flaws under all of this. My phone is ringing. That is one of the fundamental flaws under all of this, is that the model that small businesses is following under I have a problem over here, so I should learn about insert discipline name. And then they learn the institutionalized version of it, which is very siloed and separate, because that's how the disciplines became disciplines. Because those early businesses, as we pulled ourselves from the primordial ooze, evolved this way, where as businesses, when things like the Industrial Revolution came and our scales became huge, we needed to do things beyond what a single person or several people could handle. And it means that we falsely then started to divide work in ways that didn't make sense. And the people who came in to those environments needed to carve out fiefdoms, platforms, people, their perspective, their way, because they were comfortable in those places. And work started to shift and flow to people going, oh, that feels better. I get to just do the thing that I like doing. So I'm an HR professional. Don't talk to me. I'm in finance. To me, numbers are everything. Well, I'm over here and doing that. And So we just made everybody more comfortable, and everyone then carved things out. And then to get bigger seats at the table and be heard more, now we have to put more structure around it, make it replicatable. We're all saying the same thing. See, it's a real discipline. You need to listen to me. There's science behind this. There's fact. Right? This was all just people protecting themselves, making themselves feel better, carving out little empires inside of things. And then those people were getting ahead not because it served the business so much as it served themselves and their people in their power position. And so now people said, well, Brandon, if you want to get ahead, you got to act like that head of marketing. You need to be a better marketer who markets all the time and right. And force everything through your lens and accumulate more power. These are the forces at work, and they unfortunately resulted in really big things. But then people said, bigger's better. That must be the way. And then they would, and if they couldn't see that and want to own that or ride on that, because who would? Because that thing is a woolly mammoth. It stinks. It's hot. There's bugs on it. Why are you riding this thing? I created it. Look at it. And no one can stop it. Okay. I'll just go in the wake of one of those things. I'll just go work for that thing. I'll feed that thing. Business seems too hard. And then the entrepreneurs who are the wranglers, they go, I guess I could ride a mammoth, but mine will look better because it's not going to have all the parts of that thing that make it look ugly. But those are the metastazations of elements that you really need. So you can't throw it out. I know you don't like the way it looks right now. And I know you don't like the way it feels right now because it's an ugly version of it that's been dug in the wrong place. But if we clean it off and we distill it down to what it really is, you understand that you need that business. Because if you were a kid starting a lemonade stand outside, you'd know what you needed. Like, put 5 kids out there and tell them to sell lemonade. They'll figure it out. And they will start to hit the same dynamics. And then one kid might say, well, I went home and asked my mom, and she told me that, no. She told me she's going to tell you what she knows, what she learned at Merck. No shots to Merck, but they're a big, right? She's going to tell you what she learned over there. Oh, no. I would put my money on the kids more than the adults at that point because they've absorbed that institutional knowledge. And entrepreneurs feel this and they kick and scream. I don't want to build that very thing. But when they're listening to the places and sources that are just sort of reteaching, they read it in a book somewhere. They didn't live it and breathe it in real hallways to say, what happens? What if we just brought this back to fundamental principles? And that's how the architecture is built. That's how we train it. That's how businesses build the successes they're building in a way that feels more fun, alive, and back to the natural order of things.
Yeah, and I think you touched on this too. I think the real problem for entrepreneurs starts when they have a problem. When there's something that doesn't smell right or look right in their business, and like the situation I just described, and it's, okay, how do I train people better? All right, cool. Let's go look on the internet for how do I train people better, whether you DIY it from some YouTube videos, you read a book, or you join a group. It's everything, and you've said this before, we've said this before, is when you have a hammer, everything becomes a nail, right? And it's whatever that person says is the solution to somehow universally grow your business. Like, people training and leadership is the only thing you need to grow your business. Well, no, it's not. It's at the best 1/10 of what you need to grow your business. And that's the whole point of, I'm going to put it on the screen here again, of taking the assessment and why we use that as the foundation. And you've used this, if you would, tell people how much you charge technically to use and implement this in an engagement with the Fortune 50. But that's why we use this, and it's free inside of everything we do for our clients.
Oh yeah, just for this, it was $2,500 because I would analyze it. And so what this does, you asked me about the links between elements, the leverages, the leverage being between the point. That's where the power is. So even if you went to MIT for strategic planning and, I don't know, Wharton for operational management, like, you just went down the list of disciplines and you got the best of the best of the best there, you would still find, and you would find from those best of the best, that the other elements are mentioned in all of the other elements. So when I would get called in by a client, they would say, the problem's right here. Just look right here. That's like going to your doctor saying, my arm's numb. I think it's carpal tunnel. So just look here because these fingers are numb. And they're like, no, I got to take your blood pressure. I got to do a whole bunch of, no. Let's just look. I think it's the nerve here. Just look at that. Of course, that makes no sense. Same thing as a consultant. They would have me come in and say, here's where the problem is. So just look at this. And I would either tell them or not, but based on the bad, I'd know where the problem is, because the bad is looking for the links between the departments, not how good marketing is, and not how good your project management office is, and not how good your strategic planners are. But I'm looking to see, are your core values listed in every job position that you're posting? Well, why would we do that? Right? They don't understand that each of these things, of course, spills into each other. These silos, you've heard people rail against corporate silos before, but they didn't have a way to articulate the real problem that was happening. And what is the structure after you get rid of the silos? Well, that's because we built them like this, and they should have been built like this, right?
Diagram.
So that's how we build it. And that looks complicated, but it's actually not. Because if you just follow the essence, if you understand value chain dynamics and all kinds of, by the way, I know all the, we don't do all the buzzwords and all the technical jargon, get down to the essence of what it is. So it meets everyone where they are, so that my kids understand it when they go out to their lemonade stand. That's what we do. And the bad is now free to anyone who comes and plays with us in the sandbox. It's where we start. So the very same thing that Fortune 50 companies were paying a lot of money for, it's now free because we found a way to make it free.
Yeah, it's an amazing tool. It's a tool that I've taken, I've used with our clients. It is beyond insightful. And it's here on the screen again for you to go take. When you take it, you also get 4 weeks, 1 month of, of this, the Inner Circle, the workshop. You get to see behind the curtain, behind the scenes, and we're going to work on your business, and we're going to take that bad. As a matter of fact, when we end this live stream, that's what we're diving into today with our Inner Circle members, is diving into the bad results and plotting out what does your next couple of months, couple of weeks look like. So if you are not yet a member of the Inner Circle, you're watching this on the live stream, go over to whatif.com/inner circle, and you get a month free there too. So technically, if we want to look at this and do some math, you can get up to 2 months free if you take the bad and go and upgrade today, and join us as soon as this week working on your business. So Sean, we're going to wrap this up. We're going to go into the workshop very, very soon here. What else do you have to say about the relaunch, the beginning of the Inner Circle, and where we are headed as Whadif?
I'm really excited to see some more folks in here having fun with us, working on their business. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to learn a lot of stuff. I'm excited about it. Where this is going, let's not even go there yet. Let the people go. We've got to go. We got to go work on stuff.
We are off to the workshop. If you have questions, email our homegirl, Jessica at whatif.com. We will get those questions answered. If you want to just go ahead and upgrade, join us for a few weeks, whatif.com/inner circle. And of course, please go take the bad. Let's see where your business is. Sean, I will see you in the workshop.
Let's go play.